Hey, Edgar here, the host of Snug Wrestling. Are you tired of your flimsy sunglasses that look just like everyone else's? Well, check out our friends from Aquila. These are handcrafted, limited run frames made in Los Angeles using recycled materials and built to last and look clean. They got UV protection, blue light options, and even prescription lenses. Plus, Aquila gives back 1% of every sale that goes to environmental causes. And because you listen to Snug Wrestling, you get 10% off with code SNUG at checkout. Just head to aquila.la and upgrade your eyewear responsibly. That's aquila.la, A-K-I-L-A.la. Save 10% off with promo code SNUG.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Hello. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Snug Wrestling. It is time for night 2 predictions. We got a special guest, returning friend of the show, James Broderick is here. And also Mr. Blood is here. We're going to be talking about Sunday, WrestleMania 42. That's happening in Las Vegas. Welcome back, James.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you, dog. How you doing?
Good to see you guys. I'm great. I'm good. I had a Snug shirt on earlier today, but finally got really warm in New York, so by the end of the day, too sweaty to wear it right now after the shower. Or I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, dude. I was like,
by the way, I've been getting compliments. I'm so sorry. I swear to God, I've been wearing it. So the NWO one I wear is like a normal shirt, and then the sort of Brock Lesnar-ish, like there's the sort of demon one. I cut it as a muscle tee. I work out in it all the time, but like you have no idea. The fact that I'm not wearing it is because I wear it so much. But
yeah.
Anyways,
so if anyone asks you about that shirt,
I explain always. I got it from Snug Wrestling. It's a wrestling podcast. It's super dope.
Yeah, but I got that idea, that shirt design. It's from like an old WCW Vader gimmick where he used to do. Oh. He used to come out with like this big old head thing that looked like an elephant, and I thought that's kind of cool. I'm gonna try to make something out of that.
The mastodon.
Yep. Wow. This is one of mine, Rhea Ripley inspired. Snug Wrestling is always on top. But I'm a massive anime fan, and I thought, well, it'd be so cool to do a caricature of Rhea in anime form. So
yeah, how you been, James? I saw you were at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I went to the Raw. It was such a fun night. I brought 2 really old friends. We managed to not even drink too much. I had an important thing the next day, and it was one of those. Of course, it's the next day, like.
It was also Monday too.
Yeah, I know. And it was great. We were very chill. I was afraid I was going to lose my voice, and then I had to tone it down. Like I spent all my yelling like too early on, but it was really fun. There was a couple fun dark matches too. There was one with Bravo and Ryo and Javon, which was super fun. It was a great night, and seeing Punk and having him have a pretty memorable moment right in front of me was pretty great.
That's pretty awesome. I was at last week's Raw. I didn't think it was the best show, so I'm glad to hear that at least the one you went to was really good. From what I remember, the ones from Madison Square Garden, those shows are usually pretty good.
Yeah, they always seem to give us a lot. I feel lucky. I feel like they always do a lot. Like whenever I go to a Raw or SmackDown in MSG, they always have the champion of the other brand come, which they, of course, don't always do. It just seems like they like to play it in New York. It's dope. It's lucky.
How you feeling today, Mr. Blood?
I'm doing great. Spent a lot of the day with my brother today. Of course, he's the one who got me into pro wrestling, 24 years ago. He's really excited for Mania this week, and he's coming over. Like I said last night, it'll be our first Mania watch together in about 11 years. The last Mania we watched together was the Heist of the Century Mania, so 2015. And that was great. So I'm really excited, feeling good. Really, really like wrapping my head around the fact that it's been a whole year already since the last Mania, because it feels like a couple months ago. And I've been listening to WWE wrestling podcasts all day, guest spot appearances. I've been listening to Cody. I was listening to a podcast right before I got home. Cody's on. I listened to Chris Van Fleet with Liv, Chris Van Fleet earlier today with Becky. I listened to CM Punk's hour and like 30-minute podcast he did 2 days ago. I listened to the adorable Variety couples podcast, the Go podcast with AJ Lee and CM Punk together. They're fucking so cute together. They're just flirting for 25 minutes and it's adorable. I watched the Hot Wings Versus with Jimmy and Jey Uso. So I love WrestleMania week because it's like their biggest PR stuff and you get to watch so much. I'm still watching, or I'm going to watch, finish the Cody podcast. I'm going to later tonight while I'm eating dessert, which is my PB&Js at like 1 a.m, guilty pleasures. You can't have too much sugar. That's how I get it. I'm going to watch the Dom and Liv date podcast video interview they did where they go on a date together for WrestleMania week. So I'm just really in the WrestleMania mode right now. Really excited for it. Love it so much. Been watching all the WWE 2K26 spots where you get Oba Femi and Jacob Fatu talking about their favorite things for 12 minutes. Oba Femi hates pizza. That's crazy. Jacob Fatu just every five seconds because it's all gas, no brakes with it. You know what I mean, dude? Like he's such a goofball, but I'm just in such a high spirits because I love seeing these guys off WWE TV in an interview format and having fun, seeing that they're energized. It makes me energized as a fan, hearing their thoughts. Cody in the podcast that I watched earlier, he's literally talking about like how he actually feels about the Pat McAfee situation. That's been really interesting. He understands Pat's trying to help, but he's really against it. Feels like it's a slap in the face. Like he's legit like they shoot. And just so interesting this week. I highly recommend anybody listening, if you want to get more into the WrestleMania mode, listen to a bunch of these podcast interviews this week with all these superstars. There's a lot of insight into their matches, their builds, their feuds. Other than that, happy to be here for WrestleMania Night 2. If you guys haven't seen it already, Night 1 predictions are in the books on Apple and Spotify and on our YouTube channel. And, of course, as always, we'll be live tomorrow after SmackDown and both nights of Mania for the post-show reviews. And head on over to tpublic.com/snug-wrestling to pick up your Snug Wrestling merch and support the podcast. But tonight we've got an amazing special guest, James Broderick, back again. This is going to be a lot of fun. So I pass it back on over to the founder, creator, and handsome Mexican devil, Edgar, to get us started.
Did you guys see that Cameron interview with Jey Uso?
Saw a clip of it. He beat
That
the shit
was
out of that guy.
amazing. That was gold, man. Like the commitment. Like Cameron, first of all, I never thought I would see him do a work or a wrestling angle. Jey Uso was really in it, man. He was so convincing. And you guys know more about that than I do. You know, you guys are actual actors, okay? I don't really know too much about that, but yeah, did you guys see that shit? A lot of people were like, wow, this is really good. I mean, obviously it was a work, but people were like really into it.
James, what do you think first?
Yeah, it got such a good reaction. It's really funny. I maybe I'm a little maybe I take Jey Uso for granted a little bit sometimes. He did great. It was really funny. I just thought that was dope that they did that. And like Mr. Blood said, there's so much media stuff like this week of wrestling, like on everything, and so a lot of it is amazing, but a lot you can be too much. That eventually doesn't all stand out in a way, but that one was like so dope and it totally just stood out. And seeing it on Instagram and comments and stuff, people are loving it. It made me laugh big time.
Yeah,
it was really funny, and Jay did great.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't see the whole clip you sent to the chat. I wound up randomly passing it on TikTok because Snug knows me. I'm the one guy who ghosts the chat for most of the week because I hate texting. It's my least favorite thing in the world to do with phones. And I caught a clip of it, and I was like, "Oh shit, Jay looks mad." And he yanked him over the table. I was like, "Oh wait, damn, hey, whoa!" And then because I didn't know the full context, I only got the clip where he gets, and then he gets up and then walks over. I didn't see the conversation leading into it, and I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Because I don't know who Cameron is. So. But the moment I saw the protective punches, he put his hand over the punch. I was like, "Oh, it's a work. Okay." I was like, "Please, Jay, don't get fired. What are you doing?" Like, but the moment I saw the hand place, I was like, "Oh, it's a work. Thank God." Because I legit thought like maybe the guy said something to piss him off. Again, I didn't have the full context, so I literally thought like the guy like maybe pushed a button, went too far, and poked the bear, and Jay is the Samoan. You know, Polynesians, we are very hot-blooded, hot-tempered, and I was like, oh my God, Jay's gonna get fucking fired the week of Mania. And then but you know, consummate, like, Jay is taken for granted ever since he lost the title. They put him with the Usos. I love that people loved Jay. Like, everybody was like, oh, Jay's the greatest thing in the world. The moment you get the world title, you know, it's like that Aunt May's speech in Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Or not Aunt May's speech, Green Goblin to Spider-Man on the Roof. You know, everybody loves to see everybody loves the hero, but they love to see they love more than a hero to see a hero fail and fall and die trying. Eventually, after everything you've done, eventually they will hate you, in spite of everything you've done. And with Jay, that's such the truth. Like, a year and a half ago, it was Jay's moment. People were clamoring, give it to Jay, give it to Jay, give it to Jay. He got to Raw 2.5 years ago. We want Jay. We want to see Jay. Give him everything, everything. Moment he gets the big one, Jay sucks. Worst wrestler in the world. He's terrible. He's terrible. He doesn't know what to do. He can't cut promos. Jimmy's the better promo. Jimmy's the better this. And I'm like, did you guys forget that the majority of the bloodline was hinged on Jay's fucking ability to sell his facial expressions, his ability to act, to get you to buy in? He's half the reason that the bloodline was such a great story. So when I see this, I'm like, Jay does not get enough credit for his ability to perform and tell a story just through his facial expressions. I've said this again, I said it a couple weeks ago, that the two best, in my opinion, actors in WWE when it comes to the performance side of it, not the wrestling, but the performance, it's Roman and Jay. And I genuinely believe they're the best in the company, because the bloodline stuff, especially the COVID stuff where there was no crowds, they had to rely on that so much to convey the story to the audience at home. And they honed that better than anybody. Jay can get you to believe he's going to crash the fuck out, because he does it so subtly, and then gets into the facials. And then you see the wheels turn behind his eyes. Roman has that twitching. You know you're on thin ice. So I thought this is great. That's why I will always respect Jay, because look at him still working, even in a podcast.
Yeah, he's really good. I was just rolling when Cam when he said, "Oh, you got these WrestleMania that from Saturday. You bring these wrestlers from Saturday from WrestleMania." I wanted to interview someone from Sunday's WrestleMania, and that shit popped me, man. I was like, God damn, bro, that shit was good. But anyway, we got to get into these predictions because it's going to be Sunday. A lot of people like to say that Sunday is actually the bigger one of the two nights, right? Sunday is the real main event. Some people say it's Saturday. However, on this Sunday card, we're going to start off with your guys' personal favorite, the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. And kind of like Randy and Cody, these two have a lot of history too. These two, Roman and Punk, have wrestled each other going back to 2014 maybe, and everything ever since, you know, with Paul Heyman, both of them being, having Paul Heyman as a manager. They main evented WrestleMania last year as well in the triple threat match. So these two have this rivalry that's been going on for a very, very, very long time. And the build up to this match has been pretty good, I gotta say. However, this is for the World Heavyweight Championship. Is CM Punk going to be able to retain, or would you rather see Roman Reigns become World Heavyweight Champion?
All right, so there's some stuff to unpack here. First and foremost, the night one versus night two debate that everybody likes to get into. Night two is the bigger night. Well, that's funny because I remember last year, night one was the much better night, had the much better main event, and sent the fans home happy on night one. When it comes down to it, this story is, 12 and a half years in the making since the Shield debuted in 2012, Survivor Series. And then Punk was really outed as the guy leading them around in early 2013. And when it comes down to it, like, people love to forget, you sleep on Punk's ability. Punk beat all three members of the Shield in the same match, a 3-on-1 handicap match at one time. So for Roman to sit here and act like he's going to smash CM Punk, I think it's funny. I'm like, Roman, he beat you and Seth and Dean at the same time on his own. Okay. So it's not like Punk is just some weak guy, right? It's not like he can't get the job done. He, in the history books, has beaten Seth twice, and he has beaten the both of you at the same time. It's not like he's a pushover. And we're talking about a guy who took Gunther to his limit at night one SummerSlam last year and won. He beat Gunther clean, something we got to see if Seth can even do, something we're still waiting to see if Roman can even do. But it's funny because if Punk can beat Seth and Seth can beat Roman, but Roman can't beat Seth, and he never has, I find it funny that Roman thinks it's going to be a walk in the park. My biggest thing here, I want Punk to win because I think there's a lot more mileage we can get out of this title reign. Roman had it for 4 years. He doesn't need it again. I don't think Roman ever needs the title again. I don't think Punk needs the title either, but he does a lot of great things holding that title. And he's had some great matches, great defenses just this year alone. I said this last night, and I want it to get clipped tonight, so this is my second chance. The reason this feud is so great, and we found it on Monday, is because these guys are two sides of the same coin. Roman hates Punk and is jealous of Punk because Punk had all of the fan support and love, but none of the same success that Roman did. Punk hates Roman because Roman had all the success Punk clamored for, but he had all of the crowd support Roman couldn't get at the same time. The 10 years Roman was trying his best to be the big dog and failing, they were cheering for a guy who wasn't even there. And Roman is hoping that when he goes, they'll do the same in his favor. So I love this. I'm going Punk. This is such a great story, but it's got to be Punk.
It's so hard. I was talking about this to someone else really recently yesterday, and we were just saying, like, geez, it's really been one of the main events. I feel that a lot of the main events, and it doesn't always make them a bad thing. I feel like in a way they kind of go how I kind of knew they would go. Not that that's not good. It just often the result aspect of it, the final aspect of it, I get a grasp on. And this one I feel really unsure about. Like, as you guys know about me, Punk is my guy, and I want him to win. And I want him to win because I want him to win. And I also want him to win for every reason that Mr. Blood said, every single reason. The hang up for me is the reality to me that on a sort of meta power scaling level of the story of the wrestling competition that the show is about, I don't think that Punk is supposed to be higher than Roman in that way. Like, I hope you guys understand what I mean. Like the kind of, I understand that I think Roman in a way is meant to feel like the highest on the totem pole on their best day out of everyone on their best day in this competition. So I feel all the same ways that Mr. Blood does. I think, though, therefore, that for that to happen, it's going to have to, I would be shocked and crying tears of joy if that happens clean, if Punk wins clean. I have a hard time believing that they're just going to say, yep, turns out the better wrestler in a no disqualification, in a DQ on, in a standard wrestling match, that Punk just will beat Roman. I don't know why. I wish that I would be very happy with that. But for some reason, I'm like, there's just no way that is exactly what's going to happen. So I kind of wonder about a finish with the turn, or a finish with someone else being involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, man. Usually a main event like this tends to turn out pretty insane with an unexpected run-in or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know who I want to see go over here, because I've really been enjoying CM Punk as World Heavyweight Champion. Like, for instance, Punk is undefeated since he won the World Heavyweight Championship. He defeated Braun Breaker, AJ Styles, and Finn Bálor 2 times. Those were 3 really good matches. CM Punk beating Roman Reigns means we get to see more of that. But like James said, it is Roman, right? So that's going to be a little bit hard to believe that CM Punk is going to be able to do it. On the other hand, Roman Reigns has lost his last 2 WrestleMania matches. Again, this is according to ESPN. Last year's loss, it says, marked the first time in his career that he has dropped back-to-back WrestleMania matches. He's overall 9-4. Right now, Roman has the lead with most WrestleMania matches or main events, or maybe both. I'm not sure. But again, man, kind of like, Randy versus Cody, Jacob versus Drew. This is another match where whoever wins, I'll be good with. But gun to my head, I think I'm going to go with CM Punk because CM Punk is making the dates. He's making the towns. If Roman Reigns if Roman wins the title, who knows when we'll see him again.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'd like to double down on 2 things. One, yeah, Roman lost last year in the triple threat. Year before he lost to Cody, but the night before he lost to Cody, he won with The Rock. So it's one of those things where on that same night, the same weekend he did lose, he did win. And he does now have the most WrestleMania main events in history. He passed Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 40. So when it comes down to it, there's that. But then I'd also like to, James said something along the lines of because of the power scaling, because of Roman's standing, and because he doesn't believe there's going to be a clean finish. I like that idea because one of Punk's biggest points has been Roman can't do anything by himself. Roman also put a Samoan hit out on CM Punk. But what Roman said specifically was, between now and April 19th, and on that weekend, he's mine. But afterwards, open season. We know Roman to be extremely egotistical and terribly frightened that someone could get the better of him. Now, Roman's a babyface and Punk's a babyface. But is there a chance that Roman maybe goes back on his word, or somebody takes it into their own hands, interferes in the match, and helps Roman win whether he asks for their help or not? And I'm wondering if we're going to see the debut of another Samoan, Zillifa 2, or somebody else. But there's also one thing that we're not thinking about. If you smell what The Rock is cooking. Because, Sika was Roman's dad. Roman is the tribal chief, but in shoot and in kayfabe, the high chief is The Rock. And you can't just be Punk shooting your mouth off, and they do have history.
Anything else you want to add, James, before we move on?
There's too much. There's so much to say. I agree. Again, I'll let us move on quickly, but my heart, like my heart and everything is Punk. It's just that there's a part of my brain that feels like if I were a doctor or a mathematician, that would be saying, "There's no way he's gonna be Roman clean," But I really hope he does. That would be dope. And you never know. Yeah, The Rock. We'll see. I could see it.
All right, y'all. The WWE Women's Championship match: Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Jade Cargill is fairly new to the game, especially when it comes to WrestleMania. This is going to be her first main event or title defense at a WrestleMania. I believe Jade wrestled at last year's Mania, was it? Or am I mistaken? Let's see, WrestleMania. Yeah, she wrestled. I think it was your girl, Tiffany Stratton, blood.
My girl, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So she won both of her matches since WWE debut 2024. Rhea Ripley is 3-3 at WrestleMania. However, Jade Cargill has been in a winning streak. She's 7-0. But with everything that we've been seeing lately leading up to this match, I feel like Jade Cargill has gotten the better of Rhea Ripley throughout these few weeks. She's looking really dominant. And Rhea Ripley might be in trouble here, fellas.
Here's my thing, right? I've said this before. I'll say it again. This will probably be the final time I say it. Well, I guess we kind of have to see what happens on the SmackDown episode tomorrow, the go home. But here's the big thing. Like I keep saying, a lot of people just haven't been thinking of is that the story that they told without actually telling the audience. And I get it, show don't tell, but I feel like this should have been highlighted by somebody in a fucking promo, and I hope it is tomorrow. Jade Cargill beat Io Sky clean. Somebody, keep in mind, Jade beat someone that Rhea has never been able to beat, and she did it clean. That's incredibly important. Oh, hey, Rhea, you can't beat Io, but I can. And if you can't beat her, what chance do you have of beating me? That's a story thread I need mentioned at least once tomorrow. I need it on the go home. It needs to be said. It's an important thread. You cannot just beat Io Sky of all people and not comment on it. Clean, without help. No BFAB, no meat chin, no run-ins, no interference, no distraction. Fucking like a whistle. Clean. That's a big fucking deal. Io is a 2-time world champion. Okay? So for me, that right there worries me about Rhea. I also just keep in mind that because they couldn't get Bianca back in time, and because so many things shifted, they were forced to move Rhea out of her story with Io to put her in here to give Jade someone to go up against. Because originally, Io and Rhea were supposed to go for the tag titles at Mania. That was supposed to be a story they were in. So you got to wonder, is WWE really going to split up Rio when they're so popular with the fans, so over, people love them together, and there's still so much mileage to get out of their tag team together? I don't know. And for that reason, I think as much as I hate it, because I don't like her as her persona, I don't like. I also think she's greener than turtle shit as a wrestler, even with 2.5 years in WWE. It's gonna be Jade. I genuinely think Jade's got to retain here because I don't want to see Rhea moved over to the blue brand. It's not nearly highlighted enough. She's one of the biggest stars of the company, and she belongs on Raw. And there's so much more she can get out of Raw with Io. Plus, you want to see their tag team break up if that happens, and there's a story to tell there. So I got to go Jade, as much as it fucking scorns me.
I got to go Jade. I think she's gotten a lot of flack in a lot of ways. I can understand some of how her reign has felt, especially like the obvious, the lack of title defenses, only just because, hey, it's cool to watch people fight in the show. So it would be great to see her have had more title defenses, only at least for that reason. But I think that when Rhea won at the Chamber, it made sense, especially as those numbers dwindled down as people got eliminated. It just felt like, and I go back to, I hope I don't harp on it too much, the kind of, in my mind, what seems to be the scaling of skills or whatever, that I just became more and more like, well, Rhea's not really going to lose to so-and-so or so-and-so, and started to feel inevitable, like, despite the tag team and everything, that, well, you know, she's going to win this Chamber, like, as it went on. And she's the best, and, you know, my girlfriend loves her. She's like a weigh-in for people, like, for all sorts of people to get into wrestling. She's a superstar, you know. I think something is a little off, like, with it right now, like, with her, maybe about, like, how quickly they switched it from the tag team to this, or maybe it's about her real, like, relationship with Jade or something. But I would add that, and sort of my weird thing of, like, kind of liking, like, the new BFAB and Michin, like, click behind Jade, like, finding them extremely effective as, like, really heels that people seem to be very upset at, but frankly, that's allowed, like, and that's, I'm kind of getting, like, more of a kick out of it than maybe I should, or maybe other people are. But I think, like, there's a much more solid base there if Jade retains to continue that on at SmackDown, you know, to have because if she hasn't defended it enough before, well then hey, let her defend it in a big way against Rhea Ripley, and well now you're like the real queen of SmackDown, and people will believe that because of what you've done, and that opens the door for someone like from NXT or someone you don't, that then all sorts of things can happen. I think it might actually be easier for Rhea to take the loss, but in a way that protects her because she's a superstar and I root for her in general. So it's nothing against her.
Yeah, man. I've really been liking that new faction too with B-Fab and Mi Yin with Jade Cargill. And if Jade were to defeat Rhea at WrestleMania, can you imagine the amount of heat Jade Cargill would get from that? I can imagine her showing up the Friday night, the SmackDown after Mania, just getting booed out of the arena because she defeated everyone's favorite Rhea Ripley. I would like to see that. I think I'm going to go with Jade Cargill as well. But we'll see what happens with that one. I want to give a quick shout out to this is his YouTube name, Big Daddy P321 says, "What's up, everyone? What's up?" And also Toxic says Jade versus Naomi at last year's Mania. I don't know what he's what he means by that, but shout out to Toxic.
He was correcting you because earlier you said it was Jade versus Tiffany. It was Jade versus
Toxic.
Naomi last year. Yeah, it should have been Jade versus Bianca, but they had to fuck that up.
It was Jade versus somebody. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I'd also like to remark before we move on that at the end of the day, it just doesn't make sense to take it off of Jade now. I know she hasn't really defended it, but there's still quite a few stories she can tell on SmackDown, and we could still see a title match with her and Alexa, her and Nia, her and Charlotte. You got to think they're probably trying to hold their breath, hoping that they can get Bianca back in a short enough amount of time where they can have Bianca versus Jade for the championship too. That's a story we've been waiting over a year to tell. And I told you, I ran into Montez Ford at a MegaCon a few weeks back, and I asked him, hey, I said, I hope, Bianca is healing up well, and I hope she's doing okay. And he said she's on a fast track, and everything, she's doing good, and it's just a knuckle thing. But he seemed very optimistic that she wouldn't be out much longer. So you got to think that WWE's maybe trying to keep that title on Jade to make her as strong as possible for as long as possible. So when Bianca comes back, it's a great first program for Bianca and a massive hill to climb. And if we can get her back over the late spring, early summer, I could see Bianca versus Jade for that championship at SummerSlam. But I don't see them, as weird as it is, I just don't see them having Jade drop it anytime soon. I really don't.
Yeah, and also, in the meantime, we have been seeing Jade Cargill have some stare downs with people like Charlotte Flair. I think that's a match that the WWE just has to do. They just have to do Charlotte versus Bianca, right? That's one of them. But yeah. And does it really make sense for Rhea Ripley to win it and then move over to SmackDown? I think her stories and what she's been doing really should stay on Monday Night Raw, right?
I agree. I agree. I genuinely feel like if Raw is the bigger show and it's treated as the bigger show, and WWE will tell you it's the bigger show, you want to keep your biggest stars on it. Rhea is a fucking main attraction. I mean, there's very few people come along in this business that have it, let alone have crossover appeal from division to division. Rhea is a big deal in any division. Rhea is bigger than 95% of the male stars. You want to keep her on the big show, ESPN's, the Raws. You want to keep her
Netflix.
There. Yeah, the Raws on Netflix. You really do. And I think
she's very transcendent.
Exactly. And Jade beating Rhea does everything for Jade. I don't think Rhea beating Jade does anything for Rhea.
All right, you guys, the next match, this one is so hard to call and very unpredictable because it's a 6-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. This will be the 15th ladder match to take place at WrestleMania. The first one was in 1994, WrestleMania 10, Shawn versus Razor Ramon. since then, I believe the last ladder match that they had at Mania, it says here on ESPN, was in 2024. It was for the WWE Tag Team titles. So it feels like it's been forever since they had a ladder match at WrestleMania, but it has been for a singles title. But we have Penta, who's the current champion, versus Rey Mysterio, Javon Evans, J.D. McDonagh, Dragon Lee, and Rusev. A couple of these guys have been in WrestleMania before. I believe Javon Evans and J.D. McDonagh are debuting. They're having their first WrestleMania moment in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. How do you guys think this one's going to play out?
Well, they had Rusev standing tall on Monday after the Javon and Dragon Lee tag match versus JD and Rusev.
So we know he's not going to win.
Exactly what I was going to say. He was standing tall. Why would I believe they'd give it to Rusev? I mean, fuck, they've barely given the guy anything since he's been back, and the crowd still doesn't give a shit. Just turn him babyface. Bring back Rusev Day. Give the crowd something to love about him. But when it comes down to it, I think this is actually a lot more cut and dry than it sounds. I think Penta retains. You just put it on him. He's also insanely fucking popular with it. And I can see him doing great things with it. I can see him having really good matches with it going forward. If you're going to give it to Dom for an exorbitant amount of time twice, and then even with injury, so it's not his fault, but he holds it for such a long time without defending it, why would you take it off of Penta faster than you left it on Dom? You know what I mean? Like, I think this is going to be a showcase for Penta to really get him to put over the kind of champion and competitor he is. I think that's why this match is here. I think Penta's definitely got to retain. And because I just don't, none of these other competitors I need to see as IC champ. Ray's been an everything champ. He's fine. JD will eventually get his day. I could see JD as an IC champ one day for sure. He's a workhorse. Rusev, don't really care. He wasn't even that great of a United States champion. And I mean, Dragon Lee, okay, but they haven't done enough with him. He's the next Rey Mysterio. You've been telling me for 3 fucking years, and you have done nothing to make me feel like that except for the last month where you've treated him like he mattered. Anything else, Penta's the only one that makes sense to retain here. I think this is going to be a spotlight match. I think it's going to be a showcase match for these high flyers with one big brute to be there to kind of break up that energy and be the guy to slow the match down. I think that's why Rusev's in it. Other than that, yeah, just keep it on Penta.
Yeah, I love everyone in the match. So to be clear, I wasn't even trying to make fun of Rusev. I was actually just making fun of the writing where if someone stands tall like that on the last one before, it's just, to me, incredibly obvious that they will not win. And I don't mean that overly to be cynical. It's just kind of funny. Like, I was like, the minute I saw him beat everyone up, I was like, okay, so you're not going to be the next Intercontinental champion. But I think A is the simple, yes, I believe Penta will retain. But the two things that I could believe happening besides that are, one, Javon Evans, because he is sort of subtly getting a rocket push in a sense. And also, if you pay attention, which I know you guys do, it seems like even in media, like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, whenever if you want anything on NXT, it's very often about what it's like, what it was like to teach Javon, how exciting it is, what he shows about what this system can create and have homegrown talent do, right? And he deserves it. He's not like my guy, but like he's a dope, amazing dude. That I could see, just because it would be an awesome surprise and no one would be upset about it. And I'm sure it would happen with some pretty cool moves that, this is going to be a great match. And then the other one is I could see Rey Mysterio winning, because for all we know, he could be dealing with injuries or old age in a way that actually has progressed. And it might be something for him to win so that he can drop it to his son and retire. Like, I'm not saying that that's the most likely option, but I think everyone might sleep on how he could take the least hits of anyone in the match, dial up a 619 on Rusev after everyone gets a little lick in on him, and be the only one left standing, get the belt, and then lose promptly to his son and go off into the sunset as being like one of the greatest basically wrestlers ever. So that's like my one like little fun sneak possibility, because we don't know, he's quite old and he gets hurt a lot. This sounds meaner. I mean this all in this literal sense that he's just been doing it. And so we don't know like the reality of how he feels or how close he feels to hanging up on like one of the great careers. So I could kind of see that.
That was my thought exactly. Because, yeah, I mean, when I found out Rey Mysterio was going to be added to this match, I was kind of worried. I was like, wait a minute. He just came back from having multiple injuries, and his first match back is going to be in a ladder match. Okay. But I can see that happening too. I'm pretty sure Rey is getting ready to retire. Why not let him win it one last time, and then his retirement match versus Dom could be for the Intercontinental Championship. That's definitely a possibility. Another possibility is Penta retaining, because there is a big Triple Mania event coming up in like August, which is like basically the WrestleMania for AAA. So I'm like, it kind of makes sense to have Penta go into that event as Intercontinental Champion. However, I'm pretty sure they already announced that is when the Lucha Bros are going to reunite, which means they're going to have a tag team match. So if that's the case, Penta doesn't need to be Intercontinental Champion to have that match. So I think we're going to get a new champion. And I think... Can you mute yourself, Blood? Sorry, I'm hearing some static. And I think that we're going to see another WrestleMania moment that we had with Matt Cardona. What was it, like 10 years ago, where he won the damn thing out of nowhere, but then he lost it the night after that. But I don't think that's going to happen again. I think it's going to be Dragon Lee. With everything that they've been doing with Dragon Lee, teaming him up with AJ Styles, he's been using AJ Styles' finisher. He got the pin on Monday Night Raw in that tag team match for his team. I think Dragon Lee would be the unexpected pick here that the people would, I'm not going to say love, but get behind eventually,
Oh, people would eat it up if he ends up doing a Styles clash on Rusev or someone, and the people will go ballistic, and it could totally change. Everyone in that 6-man is so able, like in the ring, that whichever one if they plot it out right, all of them could turn a crowd their way. I think on the biggest stage of them all, so that would be awesome, Edgar. I wouldn't have thought of that, and that would be so fun, I think.
Really quick, any static?
No, you're good. It's just when someone else is talking.
Okay.
I don't know why your phone.
Probably microphone reverb. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Audio quality and all that. I'm actually, after what I've heard you both say, I'm actually going to change my prediction. And I'm going to change my prediction not only because of what you both said, but because I forgot one of the podcasts, because I listened to 4 different WrestleMania interview podcasts today. And one of them was Triple H and Shawn Michaels interviewing with each other, talking about NXT, talking about WWE main roster. And in that interview, they both spent a fair amount of time highlighting one individual, and it was Javon Evans. I don't know why they would talk so highly, and they spoke highly of Javon. And even Punk spoke very highly of Javon in 2 separate interviews this week as well for Mania. They really believe in him. They say he is the hardest worker. They say they're proud of him. They said that the only thing he listens and absorbs. They told him, stop worrying about the flippy stuff. Work on this, work on that. He goes into work one night. He works on it, comes back, directly asks Triple H, hey, did those punches look better? Kid's a student of the game. So I actually think Javon gets his WrestleMania moment here. I think they make Javon to this weekend. Because realistically, I do not see them having Penta hold that Intercontinental Championship through the summer. I don't. I think Penta's getting past the point where he needs a title. I think that he's got such a connection with the audience. They're not worried about him being a champion. He's a merch machine, and he is a massive, massive fan favorite. And I don't think he needs a title. But having Javon, you know, you want to get Javon a made man out of nowhere, surprise him, give him this WrestleMania moment. I think this is the match you could do it in. And I think that nobody would be upset about it because it's not like he beat Penta one-on-one, right? He won the title because he got the opportunity and he capitalized on it in the match. And I think that would be great. So I'm going to switch from Penta to Javon Evans.
All right. Speaking of NXT and creating new stars, how about Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn for the United States Championship? Now, Trick Williams, as much as some people love or hate him, he is over. He's a heel, but the people love him. He's a cool fucking heel. And he also has the cool manager, Lil Yachty, to accompany him ringside at WrestleMania. That's always cool. But Sami Zayn just won the United States Championship not that long ago versus Carmelo Hayes. Sami Zayn has been getting booed. The people want to see Sami Zayn turn heel. Are we going to see a different Sami Zayn? I mean, I'm happy for Trick Williams, but I'm also kind of disappointed Carmelo Hayes didn't get this opportunity. So, I mean, if Trick Williams pulls this off, that'll fucking send him straight to the top, man. And that's what I would like to see happen. But what do you guys think?
I genuinely think that this still ends up being a triple threat after tomorrow night. I think that Carmelo's getting in that fucking match tomorrow. Because he's still a part of the story. Why would you have him build that United States title up for so long, feud on and off with all these guys, have this argument shit with Sammy, have these arguments and segments with Trick, and then just leave him off the show? He's been a part of the reason this match got put together. I genuinely think Carmelo gets added into this match on SmackDown tomorrow. This is a triple threat. It smells like a triple threat, walks like a triple threat, talks like a triple threat. It's a triple threat. And that being said, that makes it even harder, right? Because if Sammy's getting booed, I'm wondering if we do a double turn in this match. I'm wondering if Trick becomes the face, Sammy becomes the heel. It's also, if it becomes a triple threat, no disqualification, Lil Yachty. And when it comes to that, then if Lil Yachty gets involved, it's a triple threat. I could definitely see them putting it on Trick, because in that same interview that Shawn and Triple H were talking for about 20 minutes and they highlighted Javon so much, they focused on two guys in that interview quite often. Trick Williams was the second guy. Shawn Michaels literally straight up said he is a sponge, a student of the game. Triple H said, I love that guy. He has got everything, all the tools. And then Shawn literally said, I could see myself building a brand around that guy. I genuinely think Trick Williams is the one to win this. But if it's not a double turn, I have no problem with him winning due to interference from Lil Yachty. I think that it's still a heel. It still works. It's a great angle. Lil Yachty, I don't think they would involve Lil Yachty in this. He was just going to stand there for the whole match. I definitely think he's getting involved. So I gotta say, Trick Williams, a la Lil Yachty interference, but this is a triple threat. Make no mistake, gentlemen.
Yeah, totally possible. Totally makes sense. I don't know. This is a really difficult one. It's always hard to tell with this stuff. What's a response to fan reaction? What's us being led into reactions that we think we came up. There's this eternal debate about how organic heat or hype is, how much of it is the fans, they went against the company until they listened or not, so I bring that up about Sammy, like, oh no, we're showing that fans are showing they don't actually like him as babyface or whatever, versus how much that they've been aware of that and are doing the things to get us there, knowing that we're there and getting somewhere. I do think Sammy's just such a great wrestler, and he got caught. He's been in a weird position with the fans where, like, if you ask someone who's like booing him beating Melo to explain why they're booing him, other than that they really liked Carmelo's title run, which, by the way, it's an open challenge championship. So it ain't the worst thing in the world to lose it to another really technically gifted wrestler. Like, but if you ask someone, why do you dislike Sami? Like, they wouldn't really have that many good reasons. Like, I feel like everyone acts like something happened, and it's often harder to hear an explanation about what that horrible like travesty is that happened other than the Mellow title run. But I think we've gone so far in that, and he deserves something stable like Sami. He deserves something that is a heel or a face. He doesn't deserve to have this odd mixed reaction that becomes mute because he's an awesome dude. So I think I would agree with the assessment that it would be very interesting to allow for a double turn because it lets him then actually be booed. But he's far too good and too useful to get to have to suffer some boos because he's good but beat the right person. Do you guys know what I mean by that? I think that would be a shame, but I think there's plenty you can do with him that could involve him turning heel. And besides, at this point, like you guys are saying, Trick is a heel who everyone cheers for. Randy is they can get Randy Orton to like detonate a truck like carrying most of the kids that went to the show, and everyone will be like, Randy's crazy. Like this heel thing is a little bit, it's not what it was. Like, it's not like the 80s. Like, a heel isn't really getting people to try to kill them. It's like kind of a fun thing. The lines have been blurred, and I apologize for the metaphor I used being a little extra, but the lines have become so blurred. Like, there's not like the same kind of true heel and face in most cases. So yeah, so let Sami be more dastardly then, you know? That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think that's what the people want to see. We actually talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and we made a clip out of it, and we went to our lovely comment sections on our social medias, and a lot of people responded the same way. We're not booing Sami because, the way that he won the United States Championship or the fact that we wanted to see Carmelo. We're just bored of Sami, is what a lot of people were saying. We're over this whole underdog stuff. We just want to see him do something new, something different, is what a lot of the reactions the fans were getting. But yes, another good match. And from one NXT guy to the other, Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. I think this is one of the matches that most people are most hyped for.
Well,
I know I am for sure.
You didn't say who you thought should win the United States title match.
Good old Trick Willie. Trick Willie. Lemon pepper steppers. That's what I want to see. Yeah, man, this one is also going to be good because I feel like this match kind of ties into the Gunther and Seth Rollins match. I would like to see Oba Femi win it, right? But again, I just go back to that, and I'm sorry if this is gonna maybe throw you guys off or confuse you guys, but I think Brock Lesnar has to win this. I think Brock Lesnar has to beat Oba Femi because it all goes back to if Gunther wrestles Lesnar at his retirement match, I don't think you can have Lesnar going into that match being beaten by Oba Femi. And I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I can't help but shake that feeling. What do you guys think?
I'm completely opposite thinking. I think because we predicted on night one, Gunther has to beat Seth so he stays strong. So I'm okay with Brock losing to Oba because here's the thing. Gunther's entire thing is being a career killer when he believes that it's time to put you out to pasture. There has to be a reason Gunther believes Brock should be put out to pasture. Gunther will beat Seth, someone who also beat Brock just a handful of years ago at Mania and did it in like 5 minutes. And then he's going to go, you lost to an up-and-comer, a new guy on the roster. You lost. You're not the beast anymore. I think you're a bitch. You're not the beast. I think he's going to go like that. I think he's going to go to Paul and say, the favor I want you to give me is a match with Brock, because I'm going to do him the favor of putting him out of his misery. He's not the beast anymore. And I think that's going to be Gunther's reasoning for wanting to take out Brock. You're this big, bad guy that everybody's afraid of, and then you lose to a newbie, and you think you can still walk around here and act like you're tough shit. You're not the best. You're not the beast anymore. I'm the career killer, and now I beat the Beast Slayer at WrestleMania in Seth Rollins, and now I'm going to kill the career of the Beast. I'm going to kill the myth, the legend of Brock Lesnar. So I think Oba goes over here because I think Gunther needs to sense that blood in the water around Lesnar.
I'm going for Brock. I love when he ruins everything. Everyone gets so upset, but that's kind of the thing. I love when he messes up all the stuff that we as fans are trying to tell people and love. And I like when he ruins it all, because Oba could go on to be an even greater beast or win just as many world championships. But Brock will always be a specific type of person because he's a crossover athlete. It's a very unique thing. Like, I think he's been such an incredible professional wrestler that in a way, compared to at least 2012, 13 era, we actually take for granted one of the founding principles of his greatness, which is that he won an Ultimate Fighting Championship as well. Like, it's quite an incredible. He has so much. He can do so much, and he can beat people. I think he can beat people without ruining everything for them because of how much power you can give to him in your headcanon. And I think the Gunther issue of him wanting to put him out to pasture, I think he can do that without Brock losing. Like, Brock could win, but barely be able to leave the ring on his own accord, which could signal to Gunther that he is on the way down, like that this is the time to strike and to end his career. I don't think he has to lose for Gunther to get the idea, especially because Gunther might already have that idea. But for some reason, I'm just a jerk, but I kind of want to. I just like when Brock ruins everything, and Oba's so good and so young that he can get over it. Like, I understand how huge and monumentous it would be for him to get the win, but he could totally, if he loses, I don't think everyone's going to think he's not this mountain of a man or anything anymore. Like, and because there's a lot of ways to lose. Like, I don't think he'll get walloped, but I just think it would be kind of horrible and funny and interesting if Brock found a way to win. And like you said, Edgar, if he could just find a way to ride it out until he retires. I just think that would be dope.
Yeah, I'm a jerk too, James. So I love when shit like that happens. And I feel like Oba already won, not the match, but just putting him in the same ring versus Lesnar at a WrestleMania. I mean, you're seeing the people get behind him already, which is the point. And also, losing to Brock Lesnar, it's not the worst thing in the world for anybody. Not even for Oba. So if Oba loses at Mania, the people are still going to care for him. They're still going to like him. This is just the beginning for Oba Femi. He's got a long way to go. I say it makes more sense for Lesnar to win. I know we're going to get chewed out for that, but
there's also a lot of ways to lose. Like, losing doesn't have to mean he eats 3 F5s and is like unconscious. He could get small package after clotheslining Paul Heyman while having beaten up Brock for most of the match and have that be the thing that tells Gunther he is weak. Like, this, I can strike. I don't think it's impossible for Brock to win, and that I don't think that has to close the door on everything that Mr. Blood has rightfully explained is necessary for Gunther to want to use his favor about Brock.
Well, we have, as of right now, 6 matches. Unlike night 1 that has 7 matches, they might add a 7th match for night 2 tomorrow on Friday Night SmackDown. But the last match that we have left here on the card is the Demon Finn Bálor for versus Dominik Mysterio. This is a non-title match. This is kind of the fallout of, Finn Bálor being kicked out of the Judgment Day. It's been a long time coming. We haven't seen the Demon in WWE in over 3 years. Should be a good match. A lot of story here, a lot of history here between these two guys. Are you guys excited to see the Demon, and who do you guys think is going to win?
I'm actually a bit aggravated at the build of this. Here's the problem, right? WWE throughout the last 2 months has been very impatient. Okay, so what does that mean, Mr. Blood? What that means is Gunther was originally supposed to face Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, but they got impatient. I don't know if he was going to be cleared in time, so they set him up with Seth. A week later, Rey comes back, so now they've already started the Seth Gunther program. Now they throw Rey into a ladder match. Then they weren't sure what was going to happen with Braun Breaker. Didn't come back in time. They needed something for Seth to do. He gets Gunther. They're impatient. And then we get a 3-week build to a match when everything Seth has done for 6 months has been adjacent to Braun Breaker. Then we have them kicking Finn out of the Judgment Day. And then the following week, Roxanne Perez returns, even though she wasn't there for the kick out, but Finn is the one that brought her into the group. And then last week, we see Liv bringing up that very fact in a backstage segment to tie it all together. And I'm just like, there's so much jumping the gun. It was the same thing for having, like I said, when they had Brock and Oba a couple weeks ago, they they face to face and they separated them and stuff. And I said, right, story beat, wrong place. That pull apart brawl should have been saved for Monday this past week, the go home show, not last week. And then this week it's like, oh, we'll have them not even in the same fucking ring at the same time, and they'll do individual contract signings and take up TV time. I'm like, that could have been this week, the pull apart brawl, to send the fans home in a frenzy for the match. So there's so much I feel like good story beats at wrong positions and stories here throughout this Mania build. And one of the things that I feel has suffered is this Demon stuff. The Demon should be something we build to, and I mean build to. And ever since Dom and then kicked Finn out of the Judgment Day, we have not had one in-ring face-to-fucking-face promo with these guys. It has literally been video packages or Dom talking shit in the clubhouse. There was no, at WrestleMania, Dom, I brought you into the Judgment Day. And at WrestleMania, I'm going to take you out. But I can't do it as I am now, Dom. I'm going to have to do it. I have to get a little evil, get a little demonic. I think you and I are going to have a hell of a time. And then I think that should set the tone. We should have seen hints of Finn turning into the Demon. Not hints of him turning into the Demon through edited video packages with flashes. I need to see Dom shitting his fucking pants. Like, holy fuck, the lights went out. I'm in the ring. The rest of the Judgment Day disappears. And in the corner, a spotlight shines. And the Demon is right behind Dom. Dom turns around. Lights go out. Lights come back on. The Demon is gone. He doesn't even have to touch him. Just letting Dom know there is a fucking phantom of a Demon following him. Get in his head with it. Not just, hey, the Demon's at WrestleMania. I just feel like it could have been done so much better. And I feel like it was mishandled a little bit. I think Finn's got to win. I think when we listen to Finn, we win. I think Finn's got to win because I think Dom needs his comeuppance. I think Dom needs to kind of fucking, be put in his place a little bit here. I think after everything he's done, after all the shit Finn's done, we've got Finn on a babyface turn. Now I think this is his first feud as a baby in the babyface mode since coming out of the feud with Punk. I think you need to keep Finn strong in that. And I think he needs to beat Dom here to get his get back and prove that the babyface turn mattered. The Demon wasn't useless. And even with all of Dom's cheating, I think you can't beat the Demon. I also think that either in this match or in the one with Stephanie and Liv, I think Roxanne Perez turns on the Judgment Day and sides with Finn. So I think she's also a factor there too. So I got to go Demon Finn Balor.
Yeah, it's so hard. They kind of both. It's another one that's hard to predict for me, at least. They kind of both need to win in a weird way because Finn really needs to win for every reason that Mr. Blood very rightfully brought up. Again, I'm sorry if this whole podcast I'm just echoing too much, but I would agree. The one thing is, like, when you think about Dom and you think about the trajectory that he's been on, he seems to just be, in a very general sense, rising and rising and rising and rising. So there's just as much of an argument that if he wins, it's just huge because, yeah, it does mean he can do it without Finn. Quite literally, he can beat him. So it pushes him in a huge way. But hearing you guys talk about the ways that Dom could need his comeuppance, you realize that that it's very possible for it to work by having Dom lose and learn in the loss what kind of guy he wants to be, how he wants to be able to win matches without help, without sneaking around too much. Because I still, with all respect, I see him positioned by the company, by the show, to potentially reach higher heights or as high heights as Balor ever did. So the whole time that I'm knowing that Finn has to win, in the back of my mind is what I suspect to be the long game with Dominik Mysterio, which to me has always seemed to be like the real big long game. So you don't want him to just come off like, oh, it turns out he really can't ever beat anyone good, clean, or he can't beat anyone good, because I think eventually they're going to want him to beat some dudes up.
Yeah, and also too, like, we recently saw Finn Balor finally get the spotlight that he deserves, which is a main event guy, which is in the World Heavyweight title picture at least, right? Or something. And now that he's been broken off from the Judgment Day, we're going to start a new chapter in the WWE after WrestleMania. This would be a good start for Finn Balor to jump into that new chapter with the big win at WrestleMania versus Dom. And maybe this is the start of a new Finn Balor, a new road to Finn Balor chasing some type of singles gold, which he deserves, or hell, even that World Heavyweight Championship that he never lost. At the time, it was the Universal title. But that's what I would like to see. So I'm also going to go with the Demon Finn Bálor. But yeah, that's what we had, fellas, for night 2. Anything else you guys want to add?
I feel bad. I echoed Mr. Blood quite a bit going right after him, and I don't want it to seem like I'm just stealing his answers like on a quiz, but I found a lot of the stuff to be quite similar to what I feel. And if I had to add anything else, it would just be the general sentiment that even if I were here for night 1's predictions, I would have often been saying, I don't know. That is how I feel about a lot of these ones. More than I expected that I would. The closer we've gotten, maybe it's just related to being WrestleMania, me building them up, but I feel like for everything we can say about the build for a lot of these matches, or the build to this WrestleMania, perhaps some pros and perhaps some cons. One thing it's definitely done is and I've talked to people about it's been hard to predict a lot of these things, which is great because it means I really want to watch. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, though, right? Oh, yeah.
And also, I've said this a lot too. 2 months ago, we had one match announced for this Mania. That was Roman and Punk. And despite what people will say about the build, no one ever remembers the builds to Mania. They remember certain feuds builds. They never remember all of them. They always remember the Mania itself. So, I mean, you could say that, Asuka has had some terrible Mania builds. Bayley has had some terrible Mania builds. But then you get to the match and they fucking kill it, and then you never remember the build. And people also got to give WWE a little bit of grace here. They were dealing with a lot of injuries leading into Mania season, out of the Rumble, out of December, into Chamber. so many unpredictable things. They just had to keep switching. Pivot again. And for all of that shit, this is still built into a Mania card that feels like a Mania card. It doesn't just feel rough shot thrown together. It feels like throughout all the pivoting, there was a backup plan to the backup plan. And I'm excited to see what this turns into, because even like people who are like, oh my God, the Gunther Seth match is so stupid and it shouldn't have happened. They're just throwing it together. It feels like, it's like, yeah, you're right. But what else were they supposed to do? Leave the two big stars that have had so much shit in the last year off the show when they're both presently available? Like, come on. We're trying to put asses in seats here. And despite what you'll say about their feud being nothing, it's going to be a fucking wrestling clinic when that bell rings. You're not going to remember how shit the build was. You're going to come out of that match going, holy fucking crap, that was good. So end of the day, build aside, this is a Mania card I could still be proud of if I was in the writer's room and I had dealt with all the same shit. I'd still be, because this could have gone so much worse. This build could have been even worse. Imagine Seth doesn't come back. Imagine Rey is still injured. Okay? Imagine you don't got shit for Gunther. Brock slips on a banana peel, breaks his ankle, gets an injury for the first time in his fucking career. Like so many things could have happened. And I'm glad we're here. And what remains to be seen with one episode of WWE television left.
Yeah. And I'm glad James came back to join us at Snug Wrestling here. Like always, it's a pleasure to talk to you, James, and you too, Blood. It's always fun to talk wrestling here at Snug Wrestling. That was night 2 predictions. Man, we are halfway done with the week. We still got a lot of content coming up, which I'm psyched for. But until next time, we'll see you guys really, really soon. Blood, if you will, take us home, please.
Oh, I will. And don't you dare be silent. No, I won't do it. All right, guys, that wraps up another episode of Snug Wrestling here on, well, wherever the fuck you're watching or listening to it. We just did night 2 predictions of WrestleMania. That is in the books. If you missed night 1s, that is on Apple and Spotify and our YouTube channel. If you love kicking it with us every single week, you can do it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays after Raw, NXT, and SmackDown go off the air respectively for live post-show reviews. And normally we do have TikTok one-on-ones every Thursday for an hour for random or relevant wrestling topics and Q&As with the fans. But this week we have a special guest in that of the amazing James Broderick. And next week we have another special guest on that Thursday. So the following week we will also be taking a break because we have been going hard in the paint for a long time. So the week after that, we will be back to our normal wrestling schedule. But tune in tomorrow night for the go home episode of Friday Night SmackDown for WrestleMania. And we will see you Saturday night and Sunday night after both nights of WrestleMania for live post-show reviews. And of course, support the podcast by heading over to teepublic.com, teepublic.com/snug wrestling to pick up your wrestling merch and support your favorite wrestling podcast, and catch us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live during the week for all of our shows. Until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. Have a great night.